That was my basic plan when I started riding umpteen years ago. I am drawn to bikes that make me feel happy and comfortable when I ride them, and are quick to maintain or repair. As such, I started my bike life on across-the-frame Japanese 4s, intermingled with naked sport bikes later on. In my mind, they are the same class of bike, separated only by their eras. Over time, the standard UJM sprouted minimalist bodywork, morphing into the naked class. In 2003, production of the Honda Nighthawk 750 stopped. Little did I realize at that time what a great bike that was, or how we all took it for granted. Classic styling with performance that was more than adequate for most street work was discarded by many for the allure of race rep bikes. Pity. That was probably the last real UJM. But now we have the Yamaha XSR 900, which is way better. Yamaha places the XSR 900 in what it calls the Sport Heritage class. In this case, that means you get UJM ergonomics combined with modern running gear, like a 3-cylinder engine, triple disc brakes and sport-sized rubber, along with some unique retro styling cues. Yamaha kept the price at 4 figures, $9,490 for the matte gray and $9,990 for the 60th anniversary paint. Yamaha invited Revzilla to San Diego to try it out. I rode the bike for approximately 150 miles, definitely enough to get a first taste and divine some thoughts on the bike, but not nearly enough to give it the deep coverage of a full-on SLA bike review. San Diego was a charming proving grounds. We had easy access to a metropolitan area, canyons, and all the sunshine I could handle. Ol' Yami let me have an XSR tricked out in their iconic speed block color scheme. This should not matter for a professional motorcycle tester. A professional motorcycle tester, however, I am not. This paint makes me weak in the knees. Maybe I'm not Kenny Roberts, but you couldn't convince me of that. The whole bike is an exercise in asymmetry, and it does not look at all contrived. For instance, the fuel filler cap and gauge cluster are both slightly offset to the right, and there's also a small nutshell above the headlight that sits off to the side. I got on, and was struck by a few things. First, this bike's not small. More than a few riders will have the XSR on their short list along with the Ducati Scrambler, but a simple straddle of each bike should make the correct choice apparent. The XSR feels substantial to me, where the Scrambler feels a bit more toy-like. The XSR's seat height is 1.6 inches higher, which is not an insignificant difference. I'm 6 feet tall and felt comfy in the XSR's cockpit, but the Scrambler makes me feel a bit squinched up, like I'm on a Sportster. It should be noted that if I tucked my heels in, I was contacting a heel guard on the right, but the swing arm on the left. That was no big deal for me, but it might bother some folks, especially if you use that area for action camera mounting. It gets cramped in a hurry. The XSR fired right up with an interesting, but effective, sliding kill/start switch. I pulled in the clutch lever and found it to have a really light pull, thanks to the slipper assist clutch. I clicked down into gear and I was underway. It took me a few miles to become acquainted with the XSR. As we reported when it was unveiled at EICMA, the XSR 900 is powered by Yamaha's 847cc Crossplan crankshaft concept inline triple, which is also in the FZ09 and FJ09. This bike has loads of pop and sizzle, like a large parallel twin, but the whole power band is usable from idle right up to the red line. This streetable power makes the XSR 900 a hoot to ride compared to an inline 4. There is no need to get to the power. The power is ever present, all around the take dial. After getting comfy and finding some lonely roads to ride, I began to play. The bike offers different traction control options. I experienced nothing but dry weather, so I turned it off totally. It should be noted that disabling T/C is not sticky. You have to turn it off every damn time. Furthermore, while you can cycle through the modes on the fly, the bike must be stopped to disable traction control. Lawyers, man. The bike has 3 throttle modes, A, Standard, and B Happily. These settings are sticky. The B setting I could have done without. It made the throttle sluggish to respond, which is its function, I guess, but even my ham fists have enough finesse to bypass B mode. Standard splits the difference between scalpel and sledgehammer. I put the bike in a mode and never looked back. It offers the sharpest control of the throttle. Fueling felt wonderful here. I was able to power wheelie this bike very easily at speeds under 20 miles an hour, which impressed me. I've avoided retro bikes because they always seem like a huge performance compromise, but this XSR basically turned my riding style for me seems conservative to that guy. My only knock against the powerplant was its fairly weak engine braking. The bike has brakes, too, so I wasn't too concerned about it, but it deserves mention. Riding the XSR was like wearing an old pair of jeans. I was like Goldilocks, everything seemed to be just right. The wide handlebars had enough rise so I could sit up comfortably. They have a 1 1/8 inch clamping area, so street fighter or dirt bike bars could be swapped in very easily. The seat was wide, firm, and unbelievably comfortable. I love buying aftermarket seats, but I wouldn't for the XSR. I like to think I'm particularly Calipigian, but perhaps Yam just gives you a good seat. Ergos on this bike were classic UJM, all comfort and no wind protection. I feel like if that bothers you, you probably should not have bought a bike with no wind protection, ya know?